my quarterbacks is we've always kind of had a business relationship. I remember when I first went to Tampa Bay and Sean King was struggling, I went over to Sean King's house. He had Welch's grape juice. I had wine. And we had a real conversation. No, I'm serious. And he could tell you this. It was a real conversation about getting it done. Let's just get it done. Let's not worry about whose team it is, who offense it is. We together. And I think that's where you can get the continuity at, not necessarily on the field, because what you do on the field in the offseason, you're going to forget come training camp anyway. It's been enough time already from training camp through preseason to where they are now to be on the same page. But they should be on the same page now.
Right, Key. Here's the only thing I would push back on, which is those two receivers, we had to speed up their learning curve because they were trying to help replace an all-time great in Davante Adams. And one came from North Dakota State, the other one came from Nevada, so they didn't come from great schools. And when we're in this last dance, win-now mode, we don't have the time to get this to build up over a year or two. So to me, there was a tremendous sense of urgency. And if we go back to this past week, Key, Romeo Doubs was targeted 4 times. He had no catches. And most meaningfully, on 4th and 1, they ran that little pick route that for years we saw for Davante Adams. Doubs didn't hold on to it. And those are like, we all know the margins are so small. That's the difference between winning and losing. And that's why I'm not saying that's the only reason Green Bay's struggling. But to me, if I'm Aaron Rodgers and I'm coming back, I'm doing everything I can to serve those receivers, to nurture them so they have the best chance to be successful.
And that's where August and September and October, before practice, after practice, before games, all those things. If you remember, Mike, we started with the New York Jets. Todd Haley and myself started going out in pregame, before pregame. We would get to the stadium 2-3 hours before everybody and basically run through the entire script with the quarterbacks and visualize, hey, it's 3rd and 4, here's what's going to happen. Line up in this and then go there and do that. And we would just visualize it and know those are the sort of things that helps. And I don't know if Aaron is doing those things or not, or encouraging these young receivers or not. I have no idea. But I know one thing, like you said, going to Buffalo is their Super Bowl right now. And if they lose it, they can forget it.
So, Mike, all I said yesterday was that we talk a lot about elite quarterbacks, right? We talk about Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, those names, right? When's the last time you heard an elite quarterback like Aaron Rodgers lose to the Giants, the Jets, and then the Commanders?
Yeah, it never happens. And
never.
Or Tom Brady losing to P.J. Walker and a team that just fired their head coach, traded their 2 best offensive players in McCaffrey and Robbie Anderson. I mean, both of those losses to me, guys, were shocking.
Who looked worse? We asked this a lot yesterday, Mike. But, right, one team's having a fire sale. They ought to quit, right? Like, you'd think, okay, this team is packing it in. Tom Brady comes into town with all that talent on his team, in spite of whatever they're missing, and gets smacked around. Aaron Rodgers plays a Commanders team, although, and I'm not just saying this to be funny, a lot of times Carson Wentz teams get a little bounce with the backup. Like, I've noticed it throughout his career. Nevertheless, it's a backup quarterback on a team that's not that good. To my eye, Brady looked worse, but I have more confidence in his team because he has known commodities at certain positions that are important. Whereas Aaron Rodgers, we're hoping that the young guys come along. On the other hand, Aaron Rodgers, to me, didn't look quite as bad as Brady. Who do you think looked worse between the 2 number 12 legends?
Tom Brady. And I did the game the week before on ESPN Radio. We were in Pittsburgh, and he dirted some balls. And he dirted some balls against Carolina. What I mean by that, the ball just skipped in. It was short. And the other thing is, Tom Brady didn't convert a 3rd and 1 quarterback sneak, which he always does. So he just doesn't look the same. And we know football is the ultimate team sport, but if we went back to one injury, guys, Ryan Jensen, their great center, got hurt in the preseason. They're last in the league in rushing the ball. And right now, guys, last year they completed 67% on play action passes. That's down to 62% this year. And I think one of the reasons that's dropped off, guys, is their opponents are not honoring the run now. And because of it, they could play Tom Brady and defend the pass even more.
You're talking about Tom Brady, but his former team, the New England Patriots, went through something last night against the Chicago Bears. Bill Belichick, one of our old bosses made a decision that I don't agree with, which is starting Mac Jones at the quarterback spot and then giving him a quick hook to go back to Dr. Z. And I felt like that threw Dr. Z off, even though he came out firing and everything. The momentum's changed from Chicago quarterbacks. I talk about it with Jalen Hurts and Tua and other guys. It's all about where you drafted, right? And the fact that Zappe was taken where he was taken and Mac Jones was taken where he was taken, many people feel like Mac Jones is the better quarterback. Now, what I would say is Coach Belichick made a decision to start Mac Jones, but he also made a decision to remove Mac Jones' ass immediately. And he could say all he wants is that they were both going to play, which I strongly believe he is telling the truth. They both were going to play. And that doesn't mean that Mac Jones was going to play the entire game. That doesn't mean Zappe was going to play the entire game. It just means that they both were going to play at some point in time throughout the game. He could do it a lot of different ways. He could do one series, which means, hey, they both played. Or he could do it at the end of the game. If Mac Jones was in a blowout and he was at the end of the game, he could play Zappe at that point in time. He gets clearance because they both did play. And he told them both, you will play. Whatever, whenever, he didn't tell them when. He just said, you'll both play, and they both played. I think the mistake, in my opinion, that the New England Patriots and Coach Belichick made was not starting Zappe, having him come in and try and engineer drives, which he did, and put up 14 quick points, but he couldn't sustain that into the second half. And I think that, to me, just if you'd have started him, and let him just play, I don't think you would have had some of the issues that you had. I just don't, because what you did is you gave the Bears life and momentum messing around with Mac Damn Jones.
So, Key, we'll get into, how the game panned out for the Pats. But, this last night watching the game, I'm like, DJ Khaled, his voice kept ringing in my head. Like, yesterday's price is not today's price. So, Mac Jones, what you did last year, you got your team to the playoffs, you got to your Pro Bowl, that doesn't matter. You get into a Pro Bowl, doesn't matter. What have you done for me lately? And ever since I came on this show 2 years ago, Key, you've always talked about how sensitive the quarterbacks are. Well, this is for me basketball here. I love when I see competition. I love when I see, ain't nothing expected, nothing's given to you. So, yeah, your leash was short last night, Mac Jones. You got yanked after throwing the ball 6 times and having an INT. Get in there, Billy Zappe. Now, my question, Mac Jones, how do you respond? Because if I'm Bill Belichick, I want to see how you respond going into this week of practice. Do you elevate your level of play? Or do you become demure in your demeanor?
It
just didn't even look right, though. He didn't look. It just, not the injury, him. I don't like the way he looks when he drops back in the pocket. It looks rough. It doesn't look smooth to me. When he's trying, it's almost like, I don't want to say he's scared, but he's unsure. So when he's dropping back, it's not 1, 2, 3, bam, let it go. It's always like, oh my God, they're coming to get me. I got to get out of here. Instead of just being calm, he doesn't give me a sense of calm. Now, Coach Belichick and Matt Patricia and Joe Judge and company, who's over there running the offense, they probably see it differently. I don't see it that way. I look at it and I'm like, he just doesn't make me feel comfortable in the pocket. Everything looks hard when it should be much easier.
Yeah, there are a couple things to a sophomore slump, if that's what it is, right? And sometimes you never recover from it. One is, league makes adjustments. What do you do? The second is, you have some success in your first go-around. Do you get complacent, even if you don't realize it? Or are you doing all the things that gave you success the first time, or are you starting to take things for granted? Whatever it is, Mac Jones looked promising his rookie year, and he has not gone forward. He has gone